you guys to do is stop what you're doing right now, pause the video if you haven't seen part 1, and go back and watch it. It'll make sense why I'm working on this AE86. It'll kind of piece together exactly how much I've done to it. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and hit subscribe down below. I did make a gun YouTube channel, which I will link below, as well as I will link part 1 of this video series down below. So go ahead and do that, and let's get to the video. So the 86 has been sitting for a couple months. Let's get it all worked up and let's get it ready to get back on the road. Not too much left on it. Getting pretty close, but we really need to clean the garage. So let's do that right now. Now she's all clean. She have room to work. Super stoked on all that. Granted, the other half of the garage still kind of needs to be clean, but that's for later on. The 86, I started to do some stuff to it. Unfortunately, I didn't record some of it. I did have some problems with the GoPro. I wasn't trying to stop working on it entirely, just because my GoPro wasn't working. We did build the manual steering rack, which involved, you know, removing the old tie rods and stuff like that. So we got all the old pieces off. This is the actual power steering rack. All the hoses are removed. All the necessary parts, the original tie rods, are now on the new rack, as well as the spacer. We put a angle spacer on there. I'm not sure how that works, but we did add a spacer, so I guess it's supposed to help with the angle and whatnot of the steering. Got some bushings that we needed. So these are going to be going in the car as well. But the thing that took the longest was this rod right here. Just this rod. This is from a, forgive me if I'm wrong, I think a Mark II or Mark III Supra. I cannot remember which one. But this is the steering shaft that actually goes into the steering column. So everything is all torn apart in there. I just need to actually kind of put this in there now and kind of get it all taken care of, so that way we can actually adjust the steering back and forth, or you know move the steering, so new U-joint and stuff like that. So we're gonna finish that, and then once that's done, then we can start with the fun stuff, the actual visual stuff of the cars. So I think I'm gonna probably continue this on tomorrow because it is dark and late, and I'm pretty tired after cleaning all this. So, well, hi there. Anyways, today's a new day. We are going to be continuing on with the 86. We're doing the manual conversion. New day, new me. The old manual rack, or the old power steering rack, has a really short intermediate shaft in the steering column. We need to run the longer one because the distance between here and down here, this intermediate shaft, which I don't know if you guys can really see, there's a huge gap between here and the point for the actual manual rack down there. There's a huge gap, and the stock steering shaft and the U-joint will not reach. So we have to run the extended one from Technics Toy Tuning to be able to grab and actually reach the manual rack. We're actually going to pull the steering column and stuff and get that all sorted out. So we'll do a quick little video on that, and then from there we can continue on with the fun stuff. So let's get to that. So now we got the steering column out, we can actually start moving the intermediate shaft. So I guess there's a bunch of rubber here in this tube that actually retains this guy in. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat it up, try to melt some of the rubber on the inside, yank out the intermediate shaft. When we put the new one in over there, we're actually gonna run some like silicone on it. So that way I guess it's supposed to help with like the bumpiness of the road or whatnot. So you don't feel it all in the steering wheel as you're driving. So let's get this guy out and continue on. Well, here we go. Old intermediate shaft versus new one. A little bit of a difference in length. Supposedly this shaft can actually go into the steering column pretty far from factory. So let's see how far it goes. Still some rubber in there. Okay, let's not do that right now. Let that cool down. I gotta go grab some silicone. So now that the tube is all cooled down and everything, we can actually took a flathead screwdriver that I don't really care about, and I sat there and kind of scraped out all the old rubber. Now that that's all clean, we can actually take the new intermediate shaft and you can see how far it actually goes. into the body. So it can actually go in almost all the way, if not all the way, to basically where the factory position was. It allows you to actually move it out if needed, which we need. Once we get it, we're gonna put the steering column back in, and then from there we can actually take this guy, slide it in into the car, and then move it where we need to, and actually bolt this up to the manual rack. And then from there, mark it, remove it again, and then silicone it kind of in place, or at least close, and then bolt it back up, and then we'll be good to go on the steering column. And from there we can continue on with bushings and whatnot, and finish this little mini project up. So after a little bit of adjustment, or I should say lack of adjustment, trying to get the alignment right after putting in the manual rack with a manual rack spacer, I found out you do need to chop the end of this tie rod just a little bit to give it the amount of travel, at least the amount of adjustment in, you need to compensate for adding a spacer into the manual rack. So we're gonna do that right now. I'm gonna chop this real quick. I gotta do the same thing to the driver's side, so it allows the tie rod to adjust in far enough to be able to compensate for the push out that it's getting from the manual rack spacer. And we'll get back to that and install it and see how it works. So now that we got the tie rods modified and installed, and the alignment kind of okay, I mean, it still needs a professional alignment. What I'm gonna do next, I can't really go and take it and go to an alignment right now because I have to do something else. I also need to put in the pins on the castle nuts for the tie rods, and I've also been taking off the front wheels. Well, while I'm taking off the front wheels, I'm gonna be putting on new wheels. If you have not watched part 1 of this video series that I'm doing about Yuji's 86, stop right now and go watch part 1. I'm gonna link it down in the description. Please, once again, watch it before I continue on. Welcome back. If you're coming back from part 1 now and continue on again, we're gonna be putting on some very special wheels. I mean, not only are they super nice and awesome, but it continues on with the original reason why I kind of took on this build. So once again, Yuji's friend helped him build this car, and Yuji's friend had an AE86 that they worked on together as well. Well, we tracked down the original wheels from Yuji's friend's 86, because it does belong to his sister. We were able to get the original wheels from his car, his original build, to put on Yuji's 86. And I had to go wash my hands to handle these because these wheels are very special. So the original wheels that are on this car are some knockoff Watanabes. I mean, they're stamped like Watanabes, but they're knockoffs. They're not legit. On top of that, he's over the initial D theme of this car. We eventually want to paint it and get rid of, the Panda paint job, which I'm actually kind of for, because let's be honest, they're kind of boring. But the wheels that are on here are kind of fit that theme, whereas the new build is going to require some new wheels. These are SSR reverse mesh. I believe they're 15 by 8, 0 offset or something. But these are gonna go on here after I take it off and finish the tie rods and stuff. I wanted to wash my hands pretty good because I don't want dirt and grime all over these beautiful wheels. And these are like the exact same wheels I actually want to put on my 510. So let's go ahead and finish that up, and we can see what the car looks like with these beauties in. So while we were actually putting the new wheels on, I did find out that the suspension is actually pretty loose on the hub. At first I thought it was wheel bearing because I saw the entire wheel move, but not the strut. So I was like, oh, well, maybe it's a wheel bearing. But after further inspection, after pulling the wheel off, I did notice that the hub is actually loose in the coilover. So a lot of wiggle. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up the suspension, maybe Loctite it. I mean, there are some locking nuts on there. I'm just gonna double hit this, make sure it's up to spec and everything, and tighten it all up. And then we'll put the wheels back on, go to the other side, check the other suspension, tie rod and whatnot, and get it all taken care of. A new day, new wheels on the car, everything's good to go. The manual rack seems to be tight, nice and feeling good. Pretty excited about it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish up the interior bits. Probably won't record that. I think we're gonna end the video on this note. Try to keep it a little shorter. You know, we do have some other stuff we gotta do to the car, but I think I'll leave that for the next little video. Maybe if I record less, maybe I'll be able to put out more videos. Hopefully we don't have to wait for any more parts, so I'm pretty excited, but that's today's video. If you guys like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Leave comments down below if you guys have any criticisms or critiques or whatever. The next video should be the 510. I've done some stuff to it. Would like to finish out that video, have a little bit more to record, and I think that one will be ready. Thanks you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. Also, yes, I am going to be replacing the old brake pedal covers with the proper OEM rubber stops. So, I knew some of you were going to ask about that.